whenever you've got your bow, you're in the woods and you're hunting out of a stand, you typically hunt out of a saddle, right?
Correct.
So do you ever find any issues with angles whenever with a traditional bow versus a compound bow? Do you have any, like, because the traditional bow is so much longer, right? We're talking like 62 inches versus, a 32-inch bow. Do you ever have any issues or shot angle issues whenever like, I can't take the shot with a traditional bow like I could with a compound bow?
Short answer, no.
Yeah.
For one reason, with a traditional bow, I'm not having to level out like you are a compound. Draw back, acquire your peep, acquire your sight housing, acquire your level out. I find it harder to shoot a compound bow out of a saddle than I do a traditional bow, really? At least from 0 to 25, 30 yards.
Okay.
With that traditional bow, if I have to make a weird angle, I mean, I can dang near turn that thing from, horizontal.
Right, turn the thing flat and shoot it.
I need to.
Yeah.
I've actually had to do that to get in between branches, to get my arrow to go in between branches trying to shoot through thick stuff. And that's all comes with, like, practicing those angles. I mean, you can get in your yard. I'll take a normal chair and set it in front of me, and then I'll take my bow, lean over, and basically get my bow horizontal and shoot under the chair. It's teaching yourself shot angles,
right,
and knowing what that arrow is going to do when it comes off your bow when it's being shot horizontal. It's not going to do the same thing it's being shot as if you're holding it vertical. So that comes with practice. But that was the long answer to add to my short answer. But no, I don't really have to worry about the angles as much as I do with a compound, I feel.
Do you? So I hunt out of a saddle too, and I hunt out of a lock-on. So one of the things, like, I feel like I have more shot opportunities, I don't know if that's the right word, when I'm hunting out of a saddle versus with my lock-on. Cause, like, whenever I'm sitting here and I'm 5'8", this bow's 62 inches. I was messing around my yard, and I was up in a tree sitting on the lock-on up against the tree. And that's one of the things I do like about the lock-on is I feel like I move less, right? I feel like I can kind of blend into the tree itself. I try to get a little bit wider tree. I can sit back. I don't move. With a saddle. Maybe I move a little bit more. Maybe I don't. But when I'm sitting in that lock-on and I go to draw the traditional bow, I'll notice I have to come out way far out to get the angle to not hit the bow on my actual stand.
That is an issue for a lot of, I'm not trying to rub it in, but I'm a little bit taller.
Yeah.
I've never really had that issue before, but yes, with the saddle, I've also found that, when you're standing straight up and say the deer's right under you, you draw the compound, point that straight down like that instead of bending at the waist. What's that arrow going to do?
Right.
With a saddle, so standing on your lock-on, you pull back, shooting with a compound, you're supposed to
bend at the waist. Right.
Out of a saddle, I found I don't have to lean any with my waist unless the animal is directly under me.
Right.
And that's just causing my body to need to lean that way because I'm having to change how I'm shooting.
Right.
That's one thing that I enjoy and that I've found works for me with a saddle is I'm not having to think about the lean as much because if you
it's almost more natural.
It is. Correct. I don't know. I've missed some deer not leaning, standing in a lock-on or a climber before I started using the saddle exclusively.
Right. Yeah, I think there's pros and cons to everything. And like I said, the reason I like the lock-on, or I've used it more this year than I have, and I kind of use it as like a hybrid, right? Sometimes I'll stand, sometimes I'll sit. I feel like whenever I'm just more still because I got busted twice last year just for the littlest. I didn't feel like I should have, but just the littlest fidget, and it's like, boom, they busted me. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to sit here and I'm not going to move until I have the perfect opportunity. And I guess that just comes with woodsmanship skills too, right? Just knowing when you can't, but typically I would move whenever I didn't see them. And then they bust me from off in the distance. I'm like, oh, there goes my hunt.
That has happened to me as well. But what you can do with those experiences is learn from them.
Right.
Learn from them. If you're going to be hunting out of a saddle, which is something that I have learned to do exclusively when I'm in the saddle, is I'm going to get myself into some back cover.
Yes.
I do, and I hardly, just by the nature of the deer that I hunt, I don't go into the woods to hunt a deer. I go into the woods to hunt the deer. Usually I'm going after a specific type of buck, and those big mature deer are not going to find themselves during daylight hours in big timber. Big timber meaning wide open timber. They'll skirt the outskirts of it. They'll use the thick stuff right on the edge of it to cruise, look for does, wind check. But I'm not going to be basically out in the middle of big timber without any back cover. And that back cover gives you the ability to move a little bit,
right?
But you're not going to be standing up there waving,
right?
But just to break up your outline a little bit, yeah, the back cover is a big thing.
It's crucial.
Here.
So
getting back, just one quick remark with the traditional stuff, the traditional gear, I'm not getting as high as a compound hunter usually is. There, people, I think they don't need to. They take it as like a sense of pride. Oh, I can get 25 or 30 feet up. But do you really need to do that? Do you understand your shot angle at that point with an arrow, much less a traditional arrow or a compound versus traditional? Your shot angles can be way off.
It's wicked. Shooting an angle that steep is very difficult. Mm-hmm. I mean, the closer that deer, the worse to me. I'm like, dang it, I'd rather you be further away so I could take a shot. I like that as well. Like I typically, whenever, especially hunting around here, I'm usually 10 to 12 feet. Mm-hmm. For
anything higher than 15, you don't really need it.
Well, especially here too, it's so green and thick all the time. I mean, you end up,
in the canopy,
like above the canopy, mm-hmm. unless you're hunting those wide open, like, pine.
So if you're gun hunting, like I also will carry a gun if I feel the need, if it's a windy day. Because if it's a really windy day and I'm hunting a deer, well, not a, but the deer, mm-hmm. and I want to kill that deer, I'm not going to get close to that deer's core area, so close that the wind can shift and bust me.
Right.
Because I could just run the entire hunt, if not the whole year. So the gun hunters, that's fine. You want to get higher than 15 feet. That's cool.
Makes sense.
Archery hunting, I'm not going to do it. There's no need really. Get yourself into some cover, some back cover. Pay attention to the sun, which way the sun coming up, which way it's going down, and then be as still as you can.
Yeah, that's the hard part. So do you have any issues hunting out of a saddle as far as like comfort or? So I don't. Like that's why I'm at, because I hear some guys. That's the biggest. We've talked about this before. That's like one of the biggest, complaints that people get without actually understanding it or have ever done it. They're like, I can't imagine standing all day. Well, I mean, I think it's way more comfortable than sitting personally. I mean, and it's not like you're standing. It's almost, to me, I'm leaning.
Correct.
Do you keep your knees against a tree?
So that's one thing I don't do. And a lot of the small circle of friends that I have, as far as hunting, they all think I'm a psycho because I don't wear knee pads.
I don't either.
I don't lean against the tree. I hardly ever do that. If I do, it's maybe for 15, 20 seconds. I like to stay ready.
Yep.
Because everybody's done it. Like a deer will get up on top of you and you're not ready, and there's nothing you can really do about it.
That's the end.
At that point, you have to use your skills to determine when you need to move.
Right.
And if you haven't learned animal behavior and you haven't been around deer or around your game animal of choice at a close proximity for a long time, you're not going to know when and where to move.
Right. That's the great thing about bow hunting, man. I mean, that's the challenge, is because you're there, you're on top of it. Mm-hmm. And that's what makes it so difficult, because that's when all your woodsmanship skills and everything really come into play, and you have to, kind of prioritize everything, because whenever you're in the woods, and I look at it too, because you'll notice movement, like the slightest little, it's very easy to pick up on whenever you're in the woods. So now as a human that's clumsy or something like that, any kind of movement you have, that deer, I mean, that animal is going to pick up on it right away, and that's the end of the hunt.